little bit about this next series that we're about to see. This is, of course, going to be Longzhu Gaming, which is our Korean team, and they'll be going up against Panda Global, the North American team. Talking a little bit about Longzhu Gaming, you may not recognize some of these guys because they're from Korea. They don't get as much exposure on the English broadcast typically, but you have seen them before, I promise you. This is Vitdubu, Shipit, and Shotki. And here's the real sad thing about this team, I guess, is normally they have Coding as their healer. Coding, unfortunately, was not able to make it, so they're now playing as a 3-player team, and they lost their healer, which is really, really tough to actually deal with. However, these guys, they're not giving up at all. They've actually been practicing like crazy, learning new comps, learning new specs, just to be able to continue to compete here. Do you guys... Like, that's such a almost insurmountable problem to deal with. Do you guys think that's something they can even do?
Shotki's played a healer in the past. He's played Resto Shaman. They were looking at him right now. I believe he plays Enhancement Shaman and Resto Shaman as well. So he's just a master of the Shaman, a master of the elements, as role players would say. So I definitely trust in his ability to heal his team. Unfortunately, since he only plays a Shaman, it limits their options. And in this first blind pick format where we don't know what they're going to play, you can kind of predict it as your opponent. Panda Global going into this series kind of says, well, they have Shotki, he's a Shaman, so whatever else, we'll just deal with the Shaman. And I feel like it's going to be really stressful for him. We're going to be looking to see if he can deal with that pressure.
Yeah, coming into BlizzCon, I actually have to say this is probably one of the sadder stories so far. Of course, Coding, like you mentioned, they only actually found out a week ago that he wasn't going to be able to compete. So they've had to kind of instantly have Shotki. Like you say, he has played the Shaman before, but he had to re-roll to it a little bit, picking up that restoration spec. And these guys all have full-time jobs. I think they gave us the list. They were like, one of them's a Japanese chef, the other one owns a jewelry shop, the other one's a web programmer. It's like, these are all full-time positions. So juggling that, plus having to deal with this change with 1 week to go, it's kind of like the Method story we saw in Europe, where like this big, unfortunate meta shift to the team happens last second, and we'll have to see how they can kind of adapt and make the best out of this situation.
Yeah, and of course they will be facing off against Panda Global. Now, Panda Global, also a team that has been through a little bit of a change because they were previously known as Northern Black. If you watch the Americas Regionals, you saw them playing there. They've moved on and now become Panda Global instead, and got a new sponsor, essentially. But you do know these guys, I promise. Rubcub, Wealthy Man, Jax, CMG. These guys have been around on online tournaments a ton, but I don't think a lot of them, with the possible exception of Wealthy Man, really have a ton of in-person experience. But there's Wealthy Man right there. Like, he was last year part of team Cloud9, which was one of the only 3-player, in fact, I think the only 3-player roster team last year. He was playing alongside Cubsy and Roasties, and that was the team that just impressed everybody. They had one composition, but they played it so incredibly well, and a big part of that was because of Wealthy Man, because he just plays Mage so incredibly smoothly. He knows the ins and outs of the entire spec. Do you guys think we're going to see him, I would assume we're going to see him playing that Mage here. Do you think he has anything else up his sleeve that he might want to pull out, or is he going to stick primarily to that Mage?
Yeah, so I think, of course, we can see on the screen, he was kind of voted the MVP of the Americas Regionals. So I think more than likely we're expecting to see him. We got to talk to the Panda Global a little bit earlier as well, and they just seem so confident in their 2 compositions. Of course, we saw their Rogue Mage, and the Shadow Play would be the other one, and both of those, of course, they revolve around Rubcub on the Holy Paladin. This meta suits him perfectly with Paladins, as we saw in the previous series. Definitely one of the stronger healer picks right now, and Wealthy Man, just such a phenomenally good Frost Mage, and I think if they really do believe in those 2 compositions, it can just be such a powerful tool, and it could be enough to see them through not only this series, but all the way to the finals, I think.
Yeah, so I'm going to put you guys on the spot and ask you some predictions here. Sid, we'll start with you. Who do you think is going to take this series?
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. In this situation, I have to give it to Panda Global. They've got the experience. They've got all 4 of their players. Longzhu Gaming is going to be subbing in Shotki as a healer. I feel they're at such a huge disadvantage being down a man. I'm going to give it to Panda Global, but Longzhu Gaming, I'm not going to count them completely out.
No, sure. They have been putting a ton of practice into trying to overcome the significant disadvantage that's been put against them. Adrian, how are you feeling? Are you thinking Panda Global as well?
Yeah, I have to agree. I have to go with Panda Global on this one as well. Firstly, because of the disadvantages that Longzhu face, but also the fact that Panda Global, they're driven. They're really driven. The fact that Northern Gaming just won that last series, the winner of this series meets Northern Gaming in the next one. And I was talking to them. They want to beat Northern Gaming so much. A little bit of that kind of rivalry with the sponsorships, how it's all worked out. They just seem so motivated to me. And that's the reason that I think they'll not only take this series, but they're going to have a great initiative going into the next.
All right, so we got 2 for Panda Global up here. Rich is standing by. Rich, are you feeling the Panda Global hype wave on this series?
Josh, ultimately, I'm going to have to jump on the Americas bandwagon. I think Panda will be able to take this series, but I think I'll be joining a lot of the people at home by cheering for Longzhu. Such an interesting team, especially being the underdog here without coding. But I think they've been doing it very smart. They've only been practicing one comp throughout the entire time that they're here, trying to make sure that's as good as it could possibly be. And also, they really do care about it. When we asked them a little bit earlier on in the day what they do besides play WoW, they looked at us with a straight face, and Josh, they said WoW is everything.
Yeah, that was actually an amazing moment, like, because we obviously had a translator for that entire time, but they actually just blurted out in English. As soon as the translator started talking to them, they were just like, WoW is everything.
It was the
like
only
straight
English
face.
thing
Yeah,
said, yeah,
completely straight
so great.
face. So these guys, they really know what they're doing. I'm going to have to, my heart is with Longzhu here. I really want to see them do well, but my head is saying it's probably going to be Panda Global that ends up taking this thing. But we will find out. We are going to be getting into this first game here very, very shortly. Now remember, the first game of the series is always a blind pick. So neither team really knows exactly what to expect in terms of compositions, but it will always be on the Grand Arena, so they at least know the map. Do you think we might see any weird blind pick shenanigans happening here?
I mean, that's the great thing about the Asian teams, right? You never entirely know. BlizzCon is the one opportunity you get to see if they do bring anything out. Like Richard said, though, most people did expect him to just be practicing this one comp. We haven't seen them play anything else just yet, so it would be really surprising if they have something else prepared.
Yeah, I really don't expect to see any surprises from Panda Global, but as you're saying, Longzhu Gaming, we don't really have a lot of info on what they might be holding for secret compositions, any secret strategies, so it's really cool to see them play here in this second series of the day. We are currently in Group A as we jump into the match.
Yep, game is about to get underway here, so we have on the left side Longzhu Gaming. That's going to be Shotgi on the Resto Shaman, Ship It on the Warrior, and Vitdubu on the Mage. Right side of the screen is going to be Panda Global. That's Rubcub on Holy Paladin, Jax on the Assassination Rogue, and Wealthy Man playing Mage.
Ooh,
well.
Crazy start on Ship It. They've already got him down to half HP just in a sap. Now the Dragon's Breath on the Shotki. They're just looking to take the game. Ship It down to 5%. Spirit Link barely comes out in time. Out from Shotki. They're going to stun him up. Rubcub caught into a sheep. They're trying to turn it around onto Wealthy Man. They've got him down to half HP. Ship It going in for the kill. Temporal Shield will deflect that. Can Vitdubu get that Temporal off? Not able to. He heals back to full. Ship It still under pressure. Shotki trying to recover from this early aggression from Panda Global.
Yeah, but somehow Ship It didn't actually use any of his defensive cooldowns. He still has the power, he still has the commanding shout available. Here comes the CC though. Kidney instantly triggered it. They're able to deny the cross CC coming out from Wealthy Man. No sheep to follow up, but still so much damage. There's no Spirit Link available. Ship It's in a lot of trouble. He just managed to get some heals, but I'm not sure where the counter pressure is going to come from for this team.
Nice trade out from Ship It there. He sees his healer caught in CC. He's not able to save him, so he uses his personal cooldown, Die by the Sword, to deflect Jax's attacks, but that Die by the Sword is now over. He's in a lot of trouble. Shotki needs to get some heals. They drop the Counter-Strike totem. It looks like Jax is kind of ignoring it, finally killing that off. The double stuns come out from Panda Global. They're looking to take game number 1. Sheep to follow it up onto Shotki. Dragon's Breath out from Vitdubu, but that's the last thing to keep him alive. Ship It at 5% HP. Will he be able to hang in there? He's trying to hold on to everything. Double Shockwave out from Ship It. Shotki with the move casting heals, barely keeping him in this game. Shotki pulling off miracles right now.
Yeah, and Vitdubu is playing so well as well. He's able to keep the control on Rubcub. They just need to connect the damage onto Jax. He uses that evasion. That's actually his last defensive cooldown. So Jax running a little bit low on fumes, but at the same time, Ship It hasn't been topped in such a long time. Shotki really needs to get some work done, and he's really struggling. He's off the sheep deer, able to cast out that heal. That's going to provide a little bit of reduction on the damage coming in, but at the same time, this next sheep could be game. There's the Hodge. Can they follow up the polymorph? A beautiful poly from Vitdubu, though, able to deny that CC chain.
Yeah, but Ship It is still locked down. If they get any CC on Shotki, it could just be the end of the match. Vitdubu gets a polymorph on Rubcub. They're trying to make a turnaround on Jax, but they just don't have the damage to do it. Vendetta is ticking. Shotki's caught in a sheep. There's nothing left. Ship It heroic leaps to safety, but he's forced to charge back in with no cooldowns remaining. Panda Global claim victory on the Grand Arena.
Yeah, it was kind of a one-sided game. At the same time, I thought that Avenger, of course, Avenger is the other known name for this mage on Longzhu. I thought he did such a good job of denying Wealthy Man a lot of the CCs he wanted, but they just couldn't generate any counter pressure. The Fire Mage and the Warrior just not doing enough damage to get through the heals from Rubcub.
Yeah, again, we know that Shotkey is not really that familiar with this spec. It's one that he's just sort of picked up because he wasn't planning on playing healer in this particular tournament. But wow, what a great play. Even though obviously they ended up losing there, the fact that he was able to keep Ship It alive for so long with no health whatsoever. Ship It was so low for so long. Shotkey still keeping him alive. They lost that first game, but they're obviously here to play.
Yep. I really like Rubcub's personality and his play style. He's really aggressive, he's really loud, he plays with his team, and we could see it in that last match. Rubcub was always right beside Jax. It was almost like he was playing Ret Pal. He was just attacking beside him the whole game, said, you want to stun? Okay, let's go stun. He's playing really aggressive with his team. I think it plays really well with the composition that they're running, and they're able to just snag such an early kill because of it. Definitely Rubcub playing very well in game number 1, and really it's up to Shotkey and Ship It. Do they feel confident with this matchup? It feels like the Warriors just so squishy against this damage. Every time the stuns come up, he's at 10% health instantly, just not able to turn anything around. I really feel if they have any options, this would be the time to do it.